Hey y'all, this is Jeremiah, pastor at Centennial ARP. Thanks for tuning in for this video devotional. We find ourselves in John chapter 16, verse 33. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. These are Jesus' words to his disciples on the night that he was betrayed, and it's been a powerful verse in my life and in my wife's life because when tragedy struck, the Lord just happened to use this verse to comfort us immensely. But as I have been praying and thinking about this season that we find ourselves in, I keep having my mind drawn back to it, where Jesus is reminding the disciples of all the things that he has said. I think we could boil that down into the reality that Jesus is saying, I'm coming to save you when you can't do it on your own. I'm coming for you. And I think that that moment is where that peace is born out of, as the Spirit works on us, as we realize we cannot do this thing. Jesus is doing it for us, and the Spirit working within our very hearts, within our souls, is blooming out a flower of peace for us, because this world is full of pain and suffering and tribulation. And when we take our eyes off of these things that Jesus is saying, these things that God is saying, when we take our eyes off of this peace that is blooming in our hearts because of the hope that we have, we begin to focus on the tribulation, and we find ourselves falling into the pit of anxiety and fear and frustration and pain and sin. When we do that, then our eyes turn away from the Lord, and we forget to take heart, and we forget that Jesus has overcome the world. Let me just use a quick illustration, and maybe y'all could resonate. It might just show something of myself, but there have been a couple times in the water where I have found myself terrified. The first happened in a pool, and there was a giant float that you can lay on, that you can relax on and sleep on, and I recall it quite clearly. I can still remember the pure terror that I felt when, swimming as a young boy, I sought to come up for air, and my head hit that float, and I couldn't come up. My head was stuck, and I panicked. And all I had to do was go 6 inches to the right or 6 inches to the left, and I could have taken a breath of fresh air, and yet my head was stuck straight in the middle of it, and I had terror in my heart. I was frightened. Another example is in tumultuous water, where you fall in, maybe whitewater rafting, or maybe you're at the beach with a bit kind of rougher waves or something like that, and you get hit by this water, and your head goes under, and you get flipped, and all of a sudden your orientation is so thrown that you don't know if up is up or down is down. You're swimming up, or so you think, and you're going left. You're trying to get down to maybe get your feet on the ground, and in reality you're going right, and you begin to panic. Terror seizes you in that moment. And I think that's a good example of what Jesus is cautioning his disciples of what he's cautioning us of taking our eyes off of him, of losing our orientation, of missing out on the good gift of light that Jesus gives us, that we can operate in if we simply move as the Spirit has blessed us in belief. And when we do that, this terror takes in. We don't take heart in the one who has overcome the world. We lose heart at the ones, ourselves, who are being overcome by the world. And when we flip the script like that, everything in our lives begins to crumble. I would encourage you today to take stock. Don't let this be a time where you think that the world is overcoming you. As a believer in the Lord Jesus, let this be a season of light. Let this be a season of hope. Let this be a season of peace. The world, it's full of tribulation. It is tumultuous. We know that. Jesus says it here. We know it. We see it happening right now. But that doesn't change the fact that in Jesus, there is peace. That doesn't change the fact that in Jesus, there is hope. We can take heart. That doesn't change the fact that in Jesus, there is an overcoming of the world. We are not overcome as we believe in the Lord who is working for us. He is powerful to save, and he saves his people. Be blessed today.